All right. I love all the happy faces we're seeing here. And you don't have to be, if you're eating your lunch like Rachel or doing whatever, you don't have to show up. But we hope later in the Q&A, maybe you can, because I know we have some new faces here. Hello, everybody. I love that we're all like women here. Oh, here's Erin. Hello, everybody. I'm seeing some familiar faces. Hey, Erin, if you're, tell us, so we're community here. So put in where you're calling from and if this is your first call or not, because our second call. So it's all about, seeing who's here. And I know for those on the replay, a lot of people with our time zone. I'm going to share tomorrow. One of the new things about groups, they give you insights. So I screenshotted all the amazing background of the level of where we come from and our expertise in our industries. It's super fascinating. So UK, SoCal, I wish I was there. Switzerland, I love it. Rachel, I'm going to finish her words so she's eating. Atlanta.
I'm in Atlanta. No, I'm done. I'm
Okay.
done eating. I was saying
Okay.
I was like rushing to eat my lunch before the call, but I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, we're going to wait just like one more minute because I promise everyone's time is so valuable. And I know I'm so grateful for Rachel. Hey, Erin, I'm so grateful for Rachel for being here to share her, amazing experience. She's going to introduce herself and everything, but she's coming in from two reasons. First, she was the original cohort of last year. And second, she also happens to be an amazing LinkedIn, what would you call yourself? Coach, trainer, coach, consultant, all the above. So
choose your title.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So today, Rachel, do you want to go ahead and just jump in and then we'll introduce you and then we'll go in and with your training and then we'll ask questions and see how we can help one another.
Sure. So, hey, everyone. I know some familiar faces that I know I'm connected to some of y'all. And Michelle, thank you so much for inviting me to come today because I think the 365 challenge is awesome. And I'll just say personally for me, I joined last year and it was transformational. And I know that word gets thrown around a lot, like it can be cliche, but I was someone who, again, I'm a LinkedIn trainer. I help people with their LinkedIn presence and their profiles, but I was somewhat neglecting my own as far as content was concerned. So I was maybe posting like once or twice a week. And I was starting to kind of, focus on a little bit more. And I saw Michelle's post and I was like, sure, why not? It was a complete and utter whim. I'm like, I'll do it, whatever. And committing to post every single day is hard, daunting. And I did not succeed in posting every day, but I found a cadence that really worked for me. And it was amazing. Like it got me to really be much more creative, stretch in a lot of ways. And so I think that the strategy for this year in some ways is, in actually a lot of ways, it's even better because it's really balancing the two strategies that really are the most valuable, which is what are you talking about, but how are you engaging with your network? And really that engagement is in some ways almost more important because that is how you build those ever important relationships. So really what I thought I would share is I put together a post about a year ago, maybe even longer, I can't remember, that I called the 5 Gs of engaging on LinkedIn, kind of with the idea of we want 5 Gs when it comes to our cell phone technology. So how can we put that framework to the way we engage on LinkedIn? So I don't really have any slides to share. I'm just going to talk because there's not a lot of visuals to it, but basically these are in no particular order.
I'm going to write them in the chat. Okay.
Sure.
So everyone can take the notes.
Okay. So G number 1 is to give. So the idea is, again, give to get on LinkedIn, meaning when we're generous with our comments on other people's posts, when we're making endorsements on their profiles, writing recommendations, making introductions, it's like building that LinkedIn karma. It really comes back in spades to your own, the way people engage with you. So really, again, that giving first. Some people recommend like commenting on 5 or 10 posts before you post your own. If it strikes you to do so, great. Otherwise, I like to kind of put up my post and then I'll hit the news feed or I'll hit some of my bookmarks and make some comments. But really thinking about what can I do for others on the platform is makes such a huge impact. So G would be give first is
okay.
First.
Number 1.
Okay. So number 2 would be gratitude.
Okay.
Showing gratitude when people comment on your posts. And the way we do that is by responding to comments. The only caveat I have with that is that if somebody just comments, thank you, or great post, I just don't think there's that much to say. So maybe you can just give that a thumbs up and move on with your day. But when somebody drops a comment and it's a meaningful comment, when we don't take the opportunity to engage back with them, it's just like the equivalent of walking away in the middle of a conversation. And we don't want to do that. Just again, showing gratitude when somebody helps you out, give somebody a shout out. I know that there's people who, I was building relationships with, I would reach out and, maybe send them a DM with a question, and just always extremely appreciative of them responding to me, answering my question. And, I don't want anybody to ever feel that I'm taking advantage of their time. So giving them the kind of the credit that they deserve. So that gratitude is great. There is a line though, when it crosses into gratuitous, and that would be like mass tagging. So when you see that mass tagging, I find that to be gratuitous, because that is not to the benefit of those people. That is simply to the benefit of the person writing the post. I don't know if y'all agree, but I'm not a big fan of those big tag walls. Tagging should be used very, very deliberately and with a specific purpose in mind. And it's also sometimes nice to give someone a heads up, like, hey, I'm going to tag you in this post, but it's also sometimes nice to kind of be surprised when you see yourself tagged. I like it too. I'm like, well, someone tagged me. That's especially if it's a nice shout out. So number 3, without no surprise, would be great content. So posting great content consistently is going to be different for everybody. So some people can post every single day, and God, more power to them, honestly. Some people can get one great post up a week, but if you can consistently get that done, one great post, and then you're spending more time engaging, it's going to serve you well. So really thinking about, what can I talk about? What are my areas of focus? Content buckets. Some people might use that phrase. And we can talk through some strategies as far as that I utilize as far as content development is concerned, and also repurposing. I'm a big fan of repurposing content. So again, focus on value, test different types of content, and just have fun with it, because that's what's really, you want to be having a good time with this stuff. Consistent doesn't mean the same time, same day. Not for me. No. I mean, again, you probably talk to 10 LinkedIn trainers, are going to give you 10 different answers. I would just say, if every Tuesday you can put up a great post, great. If you post at 8:00 in the morning one Tuesday and noon another Tuesday, I just don't think it makes that big of a difference. Recommended post windows. We'll come back to that one. I'm not sure what you're asking, but when I'm done, we'll go talk through the questions. Number 4 is to be genuine. Be yourself, show your personality. Some of the people who I think are the most successful are the ones who are the most genuine. The ones where you feel like you know them through their content. They're peeling back the layers. They're not just talking about what they do. You really feel like you get a sense of who they are as a person. And there's a whole, I put up a post about it. I saw a few people posting about this LinkedIn ad that came out about I am professional. And I think that goes right in line with this idea of being genuine, is that you want to, really show who you are, because that's what makes you unique and special, and what is going to get somebody to want to do business with you, right? Because we want to work with people that we know, like, and trust. That's like marketing 101. You can tell when someone is not being genuine in their posts, but they're pretending to be. It's very transparent when you can kind of see through that genuineness versus who's actually showing who they are as a person. Yes, it definitely rules. It makes you kind of, sincere. The way I kind of talked about it was, when you're genuine, you're sincere, honest, authentic, real, and relatable. And I think that relatability is really important. And the last G is sort of a silly one. I had a hard time coming up with the final G, but I called it good vibes. And I meant with that is, when you're having fun on LinkedIn, people can see that. So, it's really the idea of what it means to be an engaged LinkedIn user who's enjoying time on the platform. if you are miserable and like you feel like spending time on LinkedIn and commenting and posting is a drag, it's time to reevaluate your whole strategy with the platform, because it should be an enjoyable part of your day. It's because you start to build and see the benefit. I mean, Michelle and I we've never met. We've only gotten to know one another through LinkedIn, through our content, through, the 365 challenge, through a number of various things, LinkedIn Lives. This is the value to the platform, is building these real relationships with people in ways that are going to benefit you, personal and professional goals. So that is sort of the framework. And I figured the rest of the time we can just have a conversation and answer questions, and I can share little tips and examples too.
That was so good. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, why did I say Lisa? Rachel. Okay. Yeah, that was really good. So I got all the notes there. Did you see what I was typing, Rachel?
Yes.
So hopefully I'll put that in the thing too. So thank you. So you want to address some of the questions in the chat? I'll help them pull them out for you, and then we can, raise our hand and we'll all have some great questions.
Let me go back. So, okay, we asked about a consistent same day. Okay, Aaron, what did you mean by recommended post windows?
So when I first started looking at like doing my marketing, started looking at all the different like social media outlets, and I found this article that here I'll even I got this, right, which is basically like a big chart that says you should post on LinkedIn, or you should post on, and so you had mentioned not really mattering from your vantage point what time you posted. I was just curious, like, do you think there's something to this, or am I stressing myself out too much to try and hit these windows?
So I think that, my personal sort of thoughts on that would be, if you're based on where your audience. So, again, if your audience is in the same general time zone as you, where working hours are similar, then I just don't think it matters all that much if you're going to post, at 8:00 in the morning or at noon. I mean, some days I just don't have my act together, and I'm not going to get something up on LinkedIn until the afternoon. And that's okay, because nowadays people are on their phones and their devices from dawn till dawn constantly. The difference is, if you have a more international audience, then you may need to think about, well, what time zone is it? Like, you don't want to be posting when it's the middle of the night necessarily for them. But I feel like, I don't know, I kind of go with the KISS model, like keep it simple. If that is it getting in the way of you getting content together, stop thinking about it. Don't worry about it. Just post when you feel inspired or something strikes you. The caveat to that is, really, I wouldn't suggest doing more than one post a day, because your second post can cannibalize your first post. So save it for the next day, or save it for 2 days later. So I hope that helps. I don't fall into that category of like, you must post at this time or your post is going to fail, because I don't know, Michelle, you probably have the same thing. I put stuff up where I'm sure, like, I had no expectation that it was going to go anywhere. And at the same time, I put content up there where I spent a lot of time putting this post together, and it's like,
it's the law of LinkedIn, Murphy's Law. I'll tell you some of my insights from posting every single day in last year. Plus, I think I did 531 posts doing like LinkedIn Live stuff. You have to do what works for you, or Rachel said, it's not gonna be enjoyable. All those people who, we can take what everyone says with a grain of salt. End of the day, it's gonna be what works for you, your industry, your profession, all the things. Okay. So you just take it, filter it, and work for you. I have content ideas, and I wake up that morning, I'm like, what do I want to post in my things? I cannot be structured. I've done it once when I'm on vacation, to put on my post and buffer and schedule them. I live in the moment. That's just how I do. Like in college and stuff, I did my best work the night before. That's just who I am. But you do you, right? So I posted in the afternoon, but should you post maybe Friday afternoon? Probably not. Here's the thing. Posts are staying longer. They have a longer shelf life. If you're someone who's been engaged, when they pull up their phone or whatever, your post will probably pop up. So if you're kind of in the radar of the people you want to be under, they'll usually pop up. So those are some of the things, but you got to test. That's what I did all last year. I tested, even the worst days and the best days. I learning lessons. So don't be afraid of the days that things tank, because is a combination of things. Some days I'm working on the algorithm. Like yesterday was like a crud day for me. I don't know about you. I think I got trapped in some back end of LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, mine was bad. Mine was
Yeah.
bad yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're working on the algorithm. I've heard, no one really knows. Some of those days when they're tinkering with things. What do you think to that rumor or
Yeah.
thought?
I mean, I found whenever they have a big rollout, things get all wonky. So, they're in the middle of rolling out LinkedIn audio. I just noticed that like I finally got the bell notification, like the bell where I can see the bell and other people's profiles. So that rollout must have happened overnight. So I found that when they're just making big changes on the platform, the algorithm goes crazy. Because yesterday my post, because I do a haiku every Monday, and usually those are pretty good. And yesterday's post was pretty lame, but that's cool. Whatever. It's fine. No stress. It happens. Today's is going better. I think it's just setting realistic expectations that every day is not going to be a winner. And some days like is surprising. There's one I like to share is like, like lots and lots of people will be like, don't ever post external links on LinkedIn. Don't do it. It's going to be the kiss of death to your content. And there was an article from McKinsey last year, which was like about women founders. And it had just a weird headline. Like, I feel like McKinsey kind of missed the mark on the headline. And I impromptu shared a post and I shared the link to the McKinsey article. And that post like blew up. It was crazy. For a link, it got like, I don't know, 15,000 views. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was expecting it to be a flop. So you never know, something might surprise you.
It's almost like don't like jinx yourself and say this is the best post ever. Just say this post is crap and then it's going to be amazing. I swear that's what everybody.
I roll like you do, Michelle. I very rarely have a plan except for Mondays because I always do a haiku. But yeah, I rarely have a plan. I kind of just think about what do I feel like posting.
And then you can do stuff like this. Like I'm, 3 to 5 is my new rollout this year. And when I did 3, I'm like, I missed it. And then so I'm just doing whatever feels right that week, 3 to 5. So I think I'm going to make Friday my slider day. So I know, Erin, you asked this once on a Clubhouse, like you can, no one has to, you could make, I've talked to clients and friends. Mondays, Mondays and a tip. Tuesday's a quote, Wednesday's a personal thing, Thursday's another industry story, so you could have like a theme. So, okay, I know on Mondays I'm showing up and I'm giving a tip. Tuesday's my, video day or whatever. So you can mix up what works for you. You're going to test. I have to say, thank you, Rachel, for just saying that the bell popped up. I just went on your profile and I saw the bell. And you know what that means? That means I have the bell, right? So you don't know you have the bell until you go to someone's profile that has the bell. That doesn't make sense, right? And so you guys can go to my profile or Rachel's and you will see the bell. So does everyone know what the bell means?
You do have the bell.
Maybe that's why I'll take that for my post tanking or being horrible yesterday.
Weird day.
Yeah. You want to tell them what the bell means?
Yeah. LinkedIn rolled out, basically you can go and click the bell. It sits right under the banner photo on someone's profile. And if you click it, you're supposed to get notified when they put up new content. So I would suggest, because that's what I'm going to do, to choose a handful of people, maybe 5, and see how it works. Like people, who create content regularly, click their bell and then keep an eye on your notifications and see if it's actually working for you. And the suggestion that I've seen from multiple people was like, if it is working for you, just don't go crazy with the bell. You don't want to click the bell on like 100 profiles because your notifications will go insane. But maybe the top 10 people that you want to make sure you are keeping up with, and see how that goes. But Sharon, you've had your hand up for a while. Oh, you're muted.
You're still in mute.
Oh, and I'm like, oh no, they called on me, and I was like, what's the bell? I'm sorry that I missed that. No, I was just gonna add to Erin's post, and I think, or Erin's question, and you already did. It was just like, don't post more than, if you have 2 really good things to say, give it like 36 hours in between, just because it will kind of step on itself. I see that a lot, and I work on, just to be clear, other people's profiles, and I make sure that they post frequently and that their posts are on theme, and I do all these things. So I look at a lot of LinkedIn profiles, and I do see that it's crazy imbalance in between. Sometimes a post will go insane, like 15, 20,000 views, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, this is incredible content, I can't wait to see this does, and it's like 400 people. And I'm like, So it depends on how many contacts you have, how many, how often you post. I don't know if anybody follows that SSI, but I see that go up and down. So, I mean, like I said, I see that, and I have people that like put out consistent content. They have, 30,000 contacts, connections, followers, whatever you want to call them, and a post will just die. So I'll post something on their behalf, and then they post something, and then they both die, and I'm like,
Yeah, yesterday was a
hard.
bad day for sure.
It's interesting. I used to do some profile management myself. I don't do that anymore because I found that the challenge is in the engagement side, to engage as somebody else if you don't know them really, really well.
mine is just sort of like, I call myself an idea wrangler and a content curator, in the sense that the people that I work with have huge amounts of thought leadership, for, another one of those overused words, but they just can't, like when someone says, give me some thought leadership, they can't pull it up. So they just send it to me and I sort of corral it, and then, spit it out on a regular basis and be like, post this, post this, post this.
Yeah.
It's not, so it's just like because, I decided on a niche for SaaS scale-up leaders, and they're just so busy that they can't, but they have so much content that they can post and so much gold that they can express, but they don't have any way to pull it up when they need.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's a
no,
great
it's true.
service, Sharon.
They say like narrow a niche, and I'm like, I was a little afraid to do that, but I do find that, I get a lot of, I asked a couple people, Mitra was one of them, and Kevin, who's kind of active, I don't know who Boyans, he's from South Africa. I asked them like what their niche was, because I get a lot of people coming to me saying, can you help me? Because I've been referred, and I'm like, it's just too hard to spread out. Like, I have a meeting with someone tomorrow, and she's an MD and a professor at like Duke. And I'm like, I want to help you, but I don't want to learn now about your profession to try to speak for you. So
Yeah, that's really good. It's better if you speak in your own voice. I used to have a little bit of for a while, had a writer, and we were doing some LinkedIn profile work for, executives, but it's just too hard because, like you said, Rachel, they need to be doing their own thing. And I don't
Right.
know. I don't believe in that too. So I quit doing that as well. So
Yeah.
absolutely. So anyone have any more? Oh, hey, Vivica, how are you?
Hey, hi guys. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to piggyback on what Sharon was saying, because I work with lawyers. I mean, I super niche with lawyers. Even they have to be sort of open-minded, entrepreneurial type of lawyers. And I do some of the management for them, but they still have to post, and that's the dilemma, right? I mean, they're so busy. They've hired me, and as I get to know them, which takes a few months, then I know their voice, their vibe, and I can inject that into pieces that are relevant to their particular practice. But then they have to be there posting, and that's the push, right? Is how do I get them to actually, get out there and post? And I say, let's be smart about this. Let's be efficient. Let's batch, okay? And not to be disingenuous, but by week, let's map out, what days you're going to post. And super hard. If anybody has any like pixie dust to sprinkle on these busy executives and professors or lawyers, that's great. But Rachel, that's super hard to manage for somebody else. So I'm sort of
Really
slightly
hard.
consulting.
Oh, go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, so ahead. Sorry, Sharon. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I think the harder part, because I write content for people as well. For one of my clients, they're creating like 1 or 2 pretty long blogs a month, and I'm taking those and then repurposing them to multiple between a company page and 2 of the principals. Getting them to post it isn't as hard as getting them to understand that their posts are only going to be so successful without them engaging, and getting them to engage is the really hard part.
I mean, good luck telling a busy attorney that they have to babysit that post to make sure that within the next few hours, they respond to comments. And so they get that engagement and that traction. They don't have time. So I'm sort of trying to figure out, how do we do that? And I don't want to do it on their behalf, because I want it to be them, their voice,
I think it's setting expectations for people in those professional services, because this firm specific, this is an investment banking firm, same thing. I mean, they're doing like deals all the time. They're not going to be spending a lot of time like responding to comments. So I think it's just setting the expectation that like you'll get some level of value in posting content. You're going to get more value if you can engage with others, but you have to be the one to do that. So I really try to avoid like going into people's profiles as much as humanly possible. I don't like it.
No, I just had a question for the group, I suppose, and Michelle said, you know, she spoke to this at the beginning, but what do you think of like the social schedulers? Because that's the only way that I can get my people, you know, I send them a batch of, and I don't create the content, I just use what they give me and sort of spit it back out with like Canva graphics and different, you know, different ways and everything. But I know they're limited in some of their, you can't tag people and some other things, but like, do you use social schedulers, Vivica?
I've used them only when I've gone on vacation, so I can just have it already pre-written, but you know, you can't tag, you can't add a slider.
Yeah.
I think you can only do it either video or graphic, I can't remember, but you still
think the
have to be
videos
there
are
to
weird,
post
too.
or comment. So, you know, some people do it to be consistent. So you got to just do what works for you. So I don't want to keep up too much time. Anyone else have any more questions? What can we break down for you? Are you having more problems with the engagement, the confidence, the writing? Where's some of the real struggles? Because we're here to help. Break it down, case studies, whatever. Are we all posting? No one, Erin, I know you've asked me this before. Are you still posting twice a day or have you backed off? What is working for you?
So more than twice a day. You know, for me, when Rachel said she only posts once a day and we talked about the cannibalizing, I hadn't really given that any thought because there have been a few days this month where I've posted 2 or 3 times in the same day because something had struck me and I wanted to share it. And so obviously I've only posted once today. And so now I'm not going to go back and post on top of that and see how that goes over the next few days.
If something strikes your fancy, go pull up Buffer for free, or it's even $5 a month for LinkedIn. And I personally love the way Buffer is formatted. I would just go and write my things and then save it. You know, you don't have to put the scheduler on. It just kind of keeps you like, oh, I've got tomorrow's done. So if you get that moment, the problem is when you dump it in like Google Docs or Notes, then it becomes an endless feed, right? So go put it in Buffer. You can use it for free and just type it in there. But yeah, I want to see you post once a day too, because you're just getting your traction. And I would hate to have any of your posts cannibalized, you know, because they're getting more shelf life. Wouldn't you say, Rachel? I have seen posts grow overnight over the day.
Yeah. And especially if you have a post doing really, really well, I wouldn't post for at least a day, like two to 3 days. Because if it's still getting engagement and traction, then let it breathe, like give it a little space. Polls, especially, I think if you have a poll doing really well, although I like a 3-day poll personally versus a 7-day poll, I think a 3-day poll is the sweet spot for me, at least. You know, but it's funny, there was one guy I remember being in a Clubhouse room and he was telling us how he posted 7 times a day. And I was like, okay, first of all, who can create? I mean, kudos to you, buddy, for creating that much content, because there is no way I could post 7 times a day. I can't even get every single day. That's too much for me. And, you know, I looked at his stuff and it's like, no one's engaging because I think the algorithm is probably like, what is happening? There's so many posts from this person. Yeah, I can't even imagine having enough content to post every single day. I mean, 7 times a day, sorry.
What are some of the formats that are working well with you guys so far? And we're, 20 something days into the year. Tell me what works for you guys and what's not as far as the formats.
Oh, sorry.
Go.
What I find is for myself, I'm actually doing more of encouragement posts rather than any other thing. I haven't do like videos or whatever. But I find that if you post something more personal or your pictures, you tend to get more attention, other than view, I do get, if that I can easily get like 1,000, 2,000 views. But if you just find your pictures in relation to what you're saying, you don't get much. Yeah, but I just find that, and then I kind of look around and try to get some sense of what's going on. And I notice that some people, what they do is that they really post their pictures, just their pictures. Of course, they talk about different things, and a lot of things that you talk about yourself, it does get a lot of attention. It's like the things that you've gone through and how that's been good for people and lessons you learn or whatever. those get a lot of attention. Yeah.
I think so. I think that's sprinkling in. I mean, I know there's some people, they post a picture of themselves every day, and that to me, but that's just me. I think that gets a little much, but yeah, but you do you. That's the thing. I say, hey, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't judge, because you got to do what works for you. If that works for you, go for it. But I think, you know, if you go to Rachel's post, she did an amazing post today, which had the new LinkedIn's doing a whole ad campaign about what does professional look like, especially in the last 2 years. And it's a really colorful one. And Rachel had a really good, she has a really good example today of, here's what I call it, professional. I've had multiple posts about this over the year. It's being personable and professional. I call it professional. And Rachel's post today is super great example of that.
Oh, thank
Yeah. And Aaron is new to LinkedIn, and he put this great post of him and his family last week or two, right? And just about how his wife gave him encouragement. It's about your story and how you became your own consultant. So tell us about that, Aaron.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been on LinkedIn almost since they started the platform, but for the first, umpteen years, it was just a resume. And so when I got into doing my own business, I started engaging more, and I really struggled with the idea that I should share my story, my personal stuff on LinkedIn. I see people sharing stuff on LinkedIn and I go, that's not appropriate here, right? It's more like Facebook type stuff or Twitter type stuff. So I struggled with that. And so I was posting all kinds of like important industry type things. And then the more I listened to people, everybody's like, you've got to be personal, you got to engage. And so I posted that, wrote that story and posted, and felt super, super awkward about it because I just was really uncomfortable. And by the time, probably the following day or two, I already had a couple thousand views. Most of my posts are somewhere between 2 and 800 right now of views. And I think if I were to go look at it now, it's probably somewhere between 8 and 10,000. So, I mean, it just went crazy. I literally this morning saw somebody react to it again. And that post was over a week old at this point. So, I mean, it's there. When Rachel was saying that some of these posts have legs, I'm starting to see some of those now. I've seen people commenting or reacting to posts that I have that are 6, 7, 8, 9 days old, either because they're seeing it now or they're just deciding to get more engaged with the stuff I'm doing.
Aaron, I'm going to give you a little tip. I'm looking at your content. So you do looks like you're sharing a fair number of posts. I would decrease that significantly. Shares just don't get the traction that putting like your original, you could write the same thing and just put it out there of yourself versus sharing from your company page. So you could have taken from your Trestle Hospitality's concepts, the same content about launching your podcast and put that as a standalone post versus sharing it. And it probably would have been more successful.
And you can probably take that.
Well, that is this morning.
Right. But shares in general just don't get,
Right.
LinkedIn just does not love it. It's sort of confusing because they seem like they want to encourage you to share a post, but then when you share someone else's content or your own company page content, it doesn't go anywhere. So test it. Like Michelle said, play around and test it. And, if you're posting every day, do 5 original and maybe 2 shares and see if you see a difference in the reach. But in my experience, I've never had great results sharing someone else's post. The example was made me the saddest was like, there's an awesome guy everyone should follow, John Aspirian. He does a Friday, he gives a shout out to somebody every Friday. And I was so excited in June that, got shouted out on a Friday, and he makes a nice little video and I shared it and it got like 200 views. I was so bummed. I mean, so even something where it's like a share from somebody who has a huge following, I found is like
Yeah. See, I guess I've torn a little bit. I hear what you're saying, and in general, it makes sense. But I'm trying to, with my company page, I was hoping to get more like awareness of my company that way. And so, maybe I just need to approach it differently, and maybe I just need to leave the company page alone for a while and just let it sit. Because I guess that's the struggle. That's the balance I'm struggling with.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, a lot of us have our own businesses. I would just play around and test with it. And then to get more eyes on your company page, just make sure you're using the 100 credits a month to invite people to follow your page.
Yeah. And people are going to get to know you first, then check out your company and follow you. And what you
Totally.
could do, there's two strategies. And first of all, if you just posted, shared some of that stuff, and no one's really seeing it, you can retake it and repurpose it later on. What I've done is I'm terrible about my company page. I don't invite people really. I just have one because I like the logo. Michelle's one of my best friends, so she would kill me. But I have my VAs. I do have them post 3 times a week from my repurposed content, endless stuff, little tidbits, just so if someone popped on it, they see it. But I always like to say, if you're getting on LinkedIn, you need to have a little bit of a company page for the logo and the presence, the credibility of the search, but really work on your profile. Okay. Because people are going to do business with you and see that. So great shares, great tips. As we're nearing kind of our time, I don't want to keep you too long. Anyone else want to comment, have a struggle? Hey, Vivica. Yeah, let's hear what you got to say. You've
Yeah.
always got great things to say.
No, I'm just chatty. So just building on what Erin was talking about and Rachel on the shares, I found, and this is one that spiked in my algorithm here, and that was yours, Michelle. And I shared your post on the blend between personal and professional, and your new word, professional. But then what I did was, Erin, I added my spin to it, and I acknowledged her, of course. So it gave her a little bit more eyeballs, but it gave sort of an interest point to my audience, and recognizing her and me sort of as, thinking about how to position the personal and professional. So the share, I'd say just a pure share, is a big old nothing burger, is what I think. But if you add your spin to it and you really give it some thought, I think that's where I huge traction on that. And then I shared another attorney who had this super sarcastic, hilarious post. I shared it and I said, this is what we should be doing more of. This is what attorneys need. You're all bogged down with, this non-sexy copy. Do a little bit more of this, a little bit more of, fun, see the humor in things. That spiked like nothing I've ever posted, but I gave my spin to it. And then as far as the taking like everyday ordinary things that we were talking about, and wondering, is anybody really interested? And this is sort of more of a personal sort of nothing thing, but give it a spin and end up with a value lesson for your audience. So you can take something very ordinary, spin it around and come out the other end with a real good piece of value, or seeing it from a different angle and giving it sort of a extraordinary polish, if you will. That's how I spin that. What to me also felt very uncomfortable, like too personal, too who cares? Well, I might have to make sure I ended up with a lesson or a value to my particular audience. So
Can you
anyhow.
give us examples of those 2 posts? Probably not off the top of your head, but if you can, because I think that's a great idea. I love giving examples to say, here's what I did and exactly what it looks like. That really helps.
Yeah,
me.
I can tell you this last one, which was amazing. And I still go back to it and look at it and I laugh. It was an attorney who's a general counsel, and they don't get recognized as super lawyers, which is a term that attorneys, get recognized for. And attorneys post this all the time to make sure that people see how fantastic they are. And so general counsel, they're in a company, so they don't get that they don't have access to that recognition. And he, warning, sarcastic post here. For 7 years straight, I have not been recognized as a super lawyer. And thank you to the budgeting committee or marketing, arm of this firm for not getting. Anyhow, it was a very sarcastic and sort of self-deprecating, but in a very fun way. And it just caught on like fire with
awesome.
every attorney. So it was beautiful.
So even dry professions, because I worked in insurance and legal for years, they can have personality on LinkedIn. So
But they can.
yeah.
They're not bold enough or dare to. And so I'm sort of that.
Well, you're an
on.
attorney too, right?
I'm a recovering lawyer.
But I know, and this is one of the reasons why I'm trying to peel back, because I worked in that profession for so long, it just molded you. So I've got to peel back. So I love that that's your mission, Vivica. I absolutely love that.
I'll share a quick example of the second kind, because I write posts like this a lot as far as taking something and spinning it with a life lesson. So I've written multiple posts about my kids. I have 2 teenagers. My son plays baseball. My daughter's a year-round swimmer, and talked about what I learned watching them compete. And there's always life lessons in there. And the one I use this story all the time is I had written the one about my daughter, written pre-COVID. It was like the last swim meet before everything shut down. And I had recently then connected with somebody that I met through Clubhouse who had a podcast and we got to, exchanging messages, and he's like, oh, I really liked your post about your daughter. My wife and I are doing a documentary about swim teams in our community, and our kids swam. And it was like an instant point of connection with this person. And I ended up going on his podcast as a guest. So when you can pepper that into your content, it helps you connect with people.
That was a great post, Rachel. And that's exactly that spin I'm talking about. That was really nice.
Oh, thank you.
So if you're worried about being too professional or not enough, use my professional. I need to post on that again. And, maybe make one day your personal thing, show a personal side, but also tie it in. I know Erin had a great thing about the red ball. I read that, remembered it. Always in with what's in it for me, for them, the lesson learned, then people will just keep coming back. So you've probably all seen those posts where people just talk all about them. And it's great to have the celebratory post, but you've seen, so, no judgment, but at the end of the day, you're a safe bet, talk about you, and then give a lesson for other people to emulate, and you can't go wrong there. So what are some of your goals and things? I'll share mine. Mine's to be more personable on LinkedIn. I feel like I'm too teacher mode and I just default to that. So I'm trying to show my personal side. So tell me what your guys' goal, or is that something you guys are working on too? Yeah, I guess we all try to be more like that.
I'm trying to surface my voice a little bit more as a trained lawyer in my past life. I still feel those parameters, those molds, if you will, but I'm trying to break out of it. So this year is my breakout year. I'm going to let the snark, the sarcasm, the humor come out, and hopefully it'll be contagious to other attorneys, and they'll realize, we can have some fun. We can have some personality. It's personality and professional aren't, mutually exclusive. So
finding the right ones will be attracted to you. When you just come and do what you're meant to do, you will attract. You don't want those people. So you're going to actually filter out the ones you don't want to work with. So I love that. So, okay. Well, I want to give a shout out to Lisa for just joining us. Thank you for showing up, Lisa. It's good to see you.
Yeah, great.
It's good to see you. Okay. We have, in 2 more weeks, we're gonna have another training. Tell me what you guys want to see, where you need help. What do you want to see? A training, a guest speaker. Well, I know, Rachel, you probably have to go in a minute, so we're going to get off, but anything in particular, shout it out. Or if you think of it over today or the next few days, will you let me know? Would you guys want like a little, just tell me.
Like idea generation, and maybe
Okay.
we struggle with that. And you may have covered. So
Idea, like for post ideas and okay. Not so much writing, but creating.
yeah, I'm trying to get away from like literally writing it that morning. And
We were talking about that.
while when I have an idea, I've been really good about planning out the content for the next 2 months and like going, okay, that'll be good for that week, or that'll be good. I'm getting better at that, but I think in the next couple of weeks, I won't be writing them the morning of as much, but it's just taken a little while to get there. But I typically have them done in the morning, and which has been good. This may sound like a newbie thing. Well, I know it's a newbie thing. I recently discovered, because I'm only like 3 months into Canva, and I recently discovered you can schedule things through Canva as you're doing them. So I was like, ooh, I'm going to do it tonight, and then I'll schedule it tomorrow.
Will Canva ever could there be a better tool than Canva, honestly?
You can actually make a website on there now. You can go buy a domain on their platform. It has to be a new domain. And then you can make like your own website,
I love Canvas. I do need to run because I have a 1 o'clock, but I hope you all will, if I'm not
Thank you, Rachel.
already, please reach out. And
So she
it
has
was
the
great
bell, I have
fun.
the bell. Yeah. So thank you so much, Rachel. We appreciate all your help. And
My
we're so-
pleasure.
yeah, we'll talk to you in the feed.
All right. Take care. See ya.
Thanks. So what Rachel said, you can go to Rachel's or mine and see if you have the bell. Rachel said that there was a bigger rollout of everyone know what the bell is. Okay. So I found out,
Yeah.
I just realized I got it today. So the bell is, we had some great strategies on that. We talked about her I'm going to put all this as a recap and then her 5 Gs on how to connect and engage. I'd like to, keep this going, build this community, and just want to be there for what you guys are struggling with. So I rang your bell, Michelle. I love it. Ring my bell. Anyway, so content ideas. Is it like posting, like if that's your number one thing, or commenting? What would you think right now? What's the worst or the hardest? Sharon?
Rachel, you're Michelle, said, keep it simple, obviously, but I do see that if you pick a theme and then have some pillars, that it really does help sort of narrow your focus. I'm just-
Absolutely. I remember Jacob last week. He was like, I just post about anything, but he also had a full-time job doing something. And some people are on LinkedIn for fun. So if you're here to build your authority, that's what I work with people, post in a lane, post on something you want to be known for. Erin's all about food and beverage hospitality for the senior living. Lisa's about executive resumes, recruiting, right? Vivica's all about making lawyers have better, more fun content,
Personnel.
get rid of snark. Sharon's about thought leaders repurposing their content to make life easier. Mitra, you're in marketing, right? So you're talking about marketing. And Aries, what's your main focus? Do you know?
Yeah, I'm a coach, so my
Okay.
focus will be on banking because that's my background.
That's
I
right.
think
That's
I'm
right. When I
good.
met you in Clubhouse,
Yeah.
you used to be in financial, now you're in coaching. So yeah, so
Yeah.
stay in the lane of like, hopefully you think of me about personal branding or professional, whatever. So I want people, and through your content, you want people to be top of mind for like, when I think of
Yeah.
someone, I want to think of you. And so staying top of mind with your content, you're commenting, getting on the radar, cross-pollinating, they're both going to be a strategy. And that's why this year, the 365 community now, not so much a challenge, is all about both. So anyway, I guess we'll work on some content ideas and things and maybe have like a little workshop. I don't know. I have to think about it because this is all just kind of like user generated content crowdsourced, so to speak. So please let me know, right? So we can help you, everyone. So anyone else before we close out for today? Oh, Lisa, were you raising your hand? I wasn't
No.
sure. Okay. Fixing your
Doing things.
camera. Okay.
Yeah.
Aaron, hey.
45. I think I missed everything. I'm so sorry. I
Oh,
didn't
that's
mean
okay. That's okay. We'll have the replay. I'm sorry, Aaron. Go ahead.
No, for me, I guess one question I would have is like some nuts and bolts on better managing like the post and the timing and all of that. Because for me, I feel like I can go down a rabbit hole of,
Yes.
well, I'm writing something, I don't really like it. Oh, I have this idea, and next thing I know, it's 2 hours later, I have a post and I post it, but now I've just lost 2 hours of my day trying to do that. And I guess maybe a better process for
Okay.
it.
Time management and content creation. And that's why maybe there's a hybrid, maybe you're not going to be like Lisa and rewrite it for 2 weeks or 2 months. Maybe you're not going to be like Rachel and I, where we have content pillars, but we just kind of on the fly in the moment. So I think there's a hybrid because you're right. There's some days I crank it out. Some days I don't have time for it. You're right. We have to protect our time. We all have other things to do. LinkedIn is a tool to make our business and build our brands, but we can't live on it, right? It doesn't pay us to be here, by the amount of time spent on it. So that's another great tip. So you guys are the best. Thank you so much. The reason
You
why I
are.
started this was just to help others get out there because we all have a message, expertise to share, and staying hidden, trust me, I did it, gets us nowhere and helps no one. So anyway, so you guys are the best. So do you guys like these every 2 week time frames though? You think that's a good amount of time? Because I think once a month gets it too infrequent, right? Every week is too much. So do you think that's a good time frame?
Works for
Everyone good on
me. But we
Okay.
appreciate your time. This is like,
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we'll try, I'm gonna try to always get them 45 minutes just because, no one has all the time in the world. So sorry for going over, but listen, everyone have a great rest of your week. I'll be back. Oh, did you have another question, Sharon?
I
Oh,
was
okay.
saying,
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Have a great rest of your week. Remember, this is your community. Just in there, answer questions. That's how we're all getting there. So I'll have this replay, and to everyone watching the replay, we missed you, but hopefully you found value today, and we'll see you on the next one. So everyone have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you
Thanks,
later.
Michelle.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.